Hey guys, okay, doing kind of a new video today. It's a start to finish on one of our interlocking paver jobs. So right off the bat, if you do like these videos, please subscribe, please like, makes a huge difference. Allows me to make more cool videos for you guys. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. So we're doing interlocking patio, residential interlocking patio here. Just a small little walkway and like a seating area. So pretty good, simple one for maybe like a homeowner to start with or something like that. So yeah, I'll walk you through it. I'm sure there'll be a lot of stuff I miss, that type of thing, but I'll try to hit on all the points and hopefully just from the video itself, you can get a good idea of what you need to do if you're doing this yourself. So step one is excavation. So for residential walkway slash patio, we're going to be excavating down approximately 10 inches here from the finished height of the patio. So this one's going to be elevated a little bit, but regardless, about 10 inches. So we have about a 2-inch paver, plus a 1-inch bedding sand, and then six plus inches of base. So like a granular A gravel base. So yeah, this is definitely probably the worst part of any paver slash patio job is the excavation. So a small excavator like this one definitely helps. Okay, so here we are just picking up the gravel from the quarry. So this is limestone gravel. This is crusher run. So this is everything from 5/8 right down to fines. So it's what comes out of the crusher. It's called granular A in our area, or crusher run. And it just compacts really nicely because it has all the different sizes in it. So big stuff right down to fines, so all the spaces get filled if it's properly compacted. So here we are loading it into the truck to bring to the job site. And it doesn't have to be limestone. It can be whatever rock is in your area. It just has to be the right sort of shape and size. Okay, here we are bringing back the small plate compactor. So if you need to rent a compactor for this job, that's a good size one. It's a 225-pound vibratory plate compactor. So pretty much any rental place should have it. The thing with compactors, you don't need a massive one to get the same end result. The only advantage to a bigger compactor is you can compact gravel in thicker lifts. So for example, this 225-pound compactor, I definitely wouldn't compact more than a 4-inch lift on this of gravel, so 4 inches at a time. But really at the end, you'll still get your 98 or 99% standard Proctor density, which is a sort of a measurement of how compact a substance is. So yeah, you'll just get it done faster with a bigger one. So we're grading the gravel here, grading it away from the deck. Make sure the water falls away, giving it a nice 1/8 of an inch per foot slope everywhere, which is unnoticeable when you're walking on it, but definitely helps the water drain away. So compacting multiple times, in lifts, that type of thing. You can't compact enough. And you want this to be a very smooth, nice space. Because next you're going to be putting your bedding course, which is this. So I've laid down 1-inch steel rods here, or steel pipe. It's a 1-inch steel pipe with an 1/8 inch wall. And then this stuff that I'm screeding with this aluminum screed board is, it's called high performance bedding in our area. But basically all it is 1/4 inch washed gravel. So it acts just like 3/4 or 1-inch washed gravel. It doesn't compact when you lay it down. So when we lay it down in this 1-inch layer, that's about as much as it'll compact. So when we lay the pavers on that, they'll be exactly 1 inch above our sub base. And it's just a kind of like it's like a final, like perfectly smooth layer, I guess you could say, that the pavers are sitting on. Because if you were to put them right on the sub base, there's small imperfections, things like that you would definitely see in the finished patio. So this is kind of like the buffer in between that. It's only 1 inch thick, but it just makes the pavers as smooth as can be. So we're laying our pavers in here. This is kind of where it's up to you, but for the most part, we do soldier courses around our patios. So it's just a one size paver there. You can see all the way around. And then we do a random pattern in the middle, or again, it depends on the paver, but these pretty much get laid down however you want to lay them down. So we use high performance bedding in a lot of our patios, but if you can also use sand as a bedding media. So if you're using sand, it's totally fine. You just got to keep in mind that it does compact. So there is a little bit of calculation you have to do there depending on the paver you have. So let's say for these pavers, for example, if you were to use sand as a bedding course, it would compact up to 3/8 of an inch. So if you need to meet up with an existing patio or deck stairs or something like that, you just have to keep in mind that after you compact these pavers, they'll settle about 3/8 of an inch. Because the sand actually goes up into the joints, and sand itself, it compacts. But it's perfect. You just got to use an angular sand, like a concrete sand, so it still provides really good drainage. And yeah, so here we are marking out the circle, because right now, so we've laid we've done all the inlay, basically, the main patio area, and we're just cutting around so then we can then install our soldier cores. So I'm using a flexible 1-inch rod there to kind of mark some nice curves. Using a marker or pencil or a Sharpie, whatever you got to make the lines. We use a chalk line for the straight sections. And what I'm doing here is I'm using this quick cut cement saw, and it creates a lot of dust, so I'm just scoring it here. And that way, as you can see, when I'm cutting it wet, I won't wash away my mark. So because I've already scored it, I can see the mark. It doesn't matter if the water hits it and washes it away. So it's a little bit of dust, but at the end of the day, it makes cutting a lot easier. It's a lot easier to see the line. So now we're cutting these pavers right through to the HP. We're removing all the pavers there that were on the outside of the cut. Obviously, we'll reuse the ones that are full. We'll get rid of the ones that are cut in half or whatever. And we're just removing those. So we got a nice clean circle there, so it looks really nice. And you can see my dad there, he's just starting to lay in some of the soldier course on the one side there. A little bit of cleanup of the edges to make sure we got a nice clean sharp edge all the way. So this is the next day, and now we're starting to put in the soldier course all the way around. So like I said before, we're using 6x9 pavers, little bit different shade all the way around the outside, and just gives it like a nice border. And because these are rectangular stones and we're going around a circle, we obviously need to turn them into a wedge, essentially. So we're taking sort of a wedge slice out of the side of each one. It's very little. It's only like 3/4 of an inch wedge. But it does make a huge difference in the final look of the patio if you make these cuts. So yeah, that was an example there of the wedge we were taking out of each one. And like I said, it keeps all the joints uniform, that nice uniform 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch type thing. And it just makes the patio look very professional as opposed to just fanning them out and having a big gap on the outside and a tight gap on the inside. And so here I am installing the, it's called Beast edging, but basically it's just like a paver edging. And as you can see, I'm scraping away the bedding course to get down to the compacted granular A course. And that edging is actually nailed with 10-inch non-galvanized RDOX right into the base course. And what it does, so it serves a couple of purposes. It locks in the pavers, and it stops the bedding sand from migrating out from underneath the pavers. And we use non-galvanized 10-inch RDOX because what they do a cool thing. They actually rust into the base, and thereby preventing them from pulling out in the future. And it would be decades before they rust completely off, so it's not really an issue of them rusting totally off. It's actually better that they rust in place. And so yeah, here I am installing nails. I put the nails about every 12 inches or every 4 tabs on this particular style of edging. But at the end of the day, you just want to make sure it's below the grass line, and still locking in the pavers and locking in the bedding sand. And we're just continuing our way around the circle. So this is a lot of cuts, but I mean, this saw makes it a lot easier. It's a dustless saw. It's comfortable. It's got a sliding table. You can do it standing up. If you had to do this bent over with the quick cut saw, it's a lot of work. So just keep that in mind. And when you're choosing what shape of patio to do, circular is definitely harder. So it requires a lot more cuts if you want to do a soldier course around it like this. So square patios are easier, and they definitely do require less cutting. And so here we go. We're coming back around the curve here, and then I think there'll be a straight section coming up. This dustless saw is great. It's a little bit slower than the wet saw, than the table wet saw, but you don't really have the cleanup at the end. You don't really have any cleanup at all. You just empty out a dustbin and you're done. So it maybe takes 5 seconds to 10 seconds longer per cut, but the cleanup is much quicker in the end, and it's a lot more comfortable running the saw. So we really like it. And there I am continuing the edging. Just coming down there. And that's another thing. So when you're doing your excavation, you want to try to make your excavation approximately 6 inches to 8 inches larger than where the finished patio will be. Just because you want to have like a nice base under the edge of the patio, but then extending past the patio a little bit. Best way to sort of visualize this, like the side of a highway. That's why highways have shoulders. One, it's for you to pull off, I guess, but what's more important is they have shoulders because they want to extend the sort of supporting area of the road past the most driven part of the road. So that's kind of what we want to achieve here. So this is kind of cool. This is definitely a necessary step in my opinion. So we compact the pavers after we've laid them, and it takes out all the surface imperfections. So if one's a little higher, one's a little lower, and I mean small imperfections, like about a 1/16 of an inch difference in height between them all. So we put a pad on our plate compactor here. This is just a homemade pad. It's 2 rubber mud flaps with a piece of steel sandwiching the ends. And then I drilled and tapped the end of our plate there, and then we're going to install some bolts. And all that does is it keeps you could run the plate over these pavers just with the steel plate, but the problem with it is it does chip the pavers. So it wouldn't be too bad on these small ones, but on bigger slabs, you definitely wouldn't want to compact them just with the steel. So this pad's like a buffer between the steel compactor and the pavers. And like I said, this is a necessary step if you want a super smooth, really professional looking finished product. So here I'm just bolting this pad to the compactor, and I'm going to run it over the surface here. I'll go around the edge first, and then I go in the middle, and basically I'm just setting the pavers into the bedding course, whether that be sand or HP in our case. It's setting them into the bed. It's smoothing out the surface. It's solidifying everything. You want to make sure you got all the stones, everything off the surface when you're doing this. You don't want a stone getting jammed between the pad and the paver, because you'll leave a big scar in it. And we're just finishing up the edging here, and then I'll compact this section. And yeah, right there what I'm doing is I'm taking all the excess material away from the side of the patio, because when we plant the grass or put soil and plant the grass, we want to give the grass the best opportunity possible to grow. And if you have a whole bunch of gravel right up against the edge of your patio, then obviously the grass isn't going to grow very well. Okay, so here we are adding the polymeric sand. So this is essentially sand with a polymer in it. It's like a glue. I don't know what the ratio is, maybe half and half type thing, but basically we're sweeping this into the joints right now, and this is going to fall all the way down the joints right to the bedding course. And now I'm compacting that sand we just spread around, and you can see it actually disappearing, but what's actually happening is we're vibrating the pavers so much that they shake. And as you can see here, the sand actually ends up falling right down to the bottom of the joints, which is what you want. You want a nice full joint of sand. And that's just what I'm demonstrating here. So this, again, is another critical step to having a really long-lasting professional patio. You want to vibrate that sand down in the joints, because sweeping it in isn't good enough. You basically just sweep it in, and it might only stay in the top like 1/4 inch, but it's really not going to get down. So multiple compactions between sweepings, and you'll get that sand right down in there. Just sweeping it off here, and then quickly I'm going to leaf blow it so that all the sand is off the surface of the pavers. And this is arguably the most satisfying step in the whole process. We're just applying water, mostly to the joints, but I'm just obviously hitting the entire patio here. But we really want to saturate those joints that we just filled with the polymeric sand to the point where the sand absorbs the water and then hardens. And what that does is it's locking the pavers in. It's keeping any sand from coming up the joints and being tracked around the patio and in your house. And it stops weeds from growing through. It stops ants from drilling down into your patio. And it's a really nice way to finish the patio. And I mean, that's pretty much it. This is pretty much a 3-day process sped up into, I don't know, 20 minutes. It's a lot of work. Paver patios are a lot of work. There's some specialized machinery that makes it easier, but it can be done by anyone as long as you know the steps and you take your time and you have a little bit of experience with tools and machinery, that type of thing. So I'm sure there's a million things I forgot. So if you see something in the video and you're like, what's going on here, or you need clarification on something, just shoot me a message in the comments there. But otherwise, thank you for watching, and yeah, please hit that subscribe button and the bell, and it'll help me make more videos like this one. So thanks for watching, guys.